some names.
This is Near Enough to Hell, a Ghosts of El Paso story, part 13, the lucky number. We are back with Daniel, and this maybe, we're figuring that out, the final session for a minute, because we're going to be busy this upcoming month, but we're still kind of like figuring out what that's going to look like. So we are just going to kind of dive right in. Last session, we had mostly resolved some of the dusk phase proceedings. We've answered some questions. We did some prompts, but we do have a couple of things left over to finish talking about. One of which is Arkansas McGee needs to give his flashback attached to the Mask of Beauty. And we're going to catch Daniel and the audience here up to speed on the answer and talk about what everyone will be doing during the upcoming night phase. And we're going to jump right into it. So Daniel, do you want to hold off on the Mask of Beauty for now, or do you want to?
I think I can do it.
All right, go for it.
It would be in Kansas City 6 or 7 years ago, before Blackheart Vermillion was killed by the coward Jim McKinley and his posse, apparently. And it was probably the heyday of her notoriety and as a gunslinger. And I think people would come and I know people would come to like test their skill to see if they were as fast and as accurate as Blackheart Vermillion, and people would get their feelings hurt. And so we see Blackheart and Arkansas, like, you know, the streets are cleared in Kansas City, and maybe Arkansas has been shot. He's bleeding a little bit. And there's people running around with guns trying to kill him, where somebody got their feelings hurt that she was faster and anyways. So as they're shooting and he's shooting back, Blackheart is like picking off these guys in this gun battle in the streets of Kansas City, and that moment the sun just hits, and as he's firing and, you know, hitting guys and she's hitting guys, he just feels like, yes, this should be on the cover of a dime store novel. And that's when he felt the most beautiful.
How Butch Cassidy of him. Love it. I can picture the pose. It's the Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kid like big poster pose with the guns out. Yeah, love that. Fantastic. Let's take a look at the current state of all of our members of the Vigilance Committee. Mother Ruth Calvo still stacked with those 3 conditions. Graves also stacked with 3 conditions. The Marshal, Andrew Harrington, none. And Arkansas McGee is hungover and still sympathetic for the dead. So previously, we had split our focus between some events in El Paso and the events going on in the ghost town of Clear Springs. In El Paso proper, after doing a little bit of investigation on the strange case of Bartholomew Graves, we got to experience Andrew Harrington's new custom move, hinting at, not even hinting, directly showcasing a inhuman supernatural ability that he possesses to assume the forms of others. And we saw him disguise as Arkansas McGee and visit the Red Rock Cantina, where unfortunately the Corset had claimed another victim. This time it was the youngest dance hall girl, Hannah Russell, with her elder sister Sarah wailing and grieving at her feet, had been burned from the inside and squeezed to death by the Corset. Meanwhile, in Clear Springs, Graves had a conversation with their sibling War, and Mother Ruth reconnoitered the grounds around the area, found some unmarked graves. The 2 of them also spoke with some of the ghostly characters here. And as part of this scene, B had accepted a complication, which was that the grieving ghosts of Clear Springs and Clear Springs itself is in some way aware of the presence of death, and that will have effects in this upcoming night phase. Andrew Harrington, in the form of Arkansas McGee, also provided some small measure of comfort to Sarah Russell. and then left to pursue in some investigations. So we answered a question. We answered the question on the Corset, which is, how can the Corset be controlled? Using the clues, the group settled on the theory, and please correct me if I'm wrong here, that basically the Corset is essentially contains like an amalgamated like spirit of sacrificed animals. And it is this kind of like animalistic, reactionary, frightened thing that lashes out as opposed to being more directly malevolent. And it's more like all of its particularly cruel murders and all of its different effects are actually symptoms rather than, yeah, like it's like they are side effects caused by backlash and certain incorrect interfacings with it, as opposed to like deliberate murder. So it is this like feral lashing out thing, and it needs to be treated gently in order to get control of it. Y'all rolled a 10 plus on that, so that will be pursued tonight. So before we jump straight to the unseen, which we had I had assigned prompts for last time, I want to go around now and hear what all of our various hunters will be doing during this upcoming night phase. Let's go in reverse character keeper order. So Arkansas McGee, what will you be doing?
I think probably following, because Graves and Mother Calvo, they're still in Clear Springs, right?
Yep.
So I think I'll be just following the Marshal's lead.
Okay. Marshal Harrington?
We're getting that corset under control so it stops murdering people.
How do you intend to do that? What is your approach for action?
I think I'm just going to physically take it out of the place, whether either directly just asking for the corset or indirectly just stealing it.
Gotcha.
Just because, like, again, it doesn't want to be there. It has witnessed too much violence there, and I'm gonna take it home effectively.
Graves, what are you doing?
I believe Mother Calvo and I are going to try to do a vulnerable scene during the night phase at the monastery.
And I did indeed levy my warning against that.
So,
and yes, and fantastic.
And we are not deterred.
Yes, and Mother Ruth, same thought?
Yeah, Sonny, I don't know what you're gonna throw at us, but it better be your best, all right, sport. Ain't nobody gone up against Ruth Calvo and
Is that
lived to see
right?
the day. That's
All
right.
How's that? Good to know.
Pound for pound.
Good
Best
to know.
preacher in El Paso.
Is that right? Okay. This was going to be held at the mission, yes?
Yes.
Fantastic.
Yes, the
Over
mission.
dinner. Some chess over dinner.
Splendid. Then in that case, let us go to the unseen. This evening's unseen is the last rite. Reverend Mathis sits quietly next to the wheezing, pale form of Joe Thompson, the copper miner. On the other side of the drawn blanket curtain separating the one-room house, you can hear the hushed tones of Mrs. Thompson, stilling the fears of the little ones and trying to get them to sleep. There would be one less Thompson in the house by morning, Doc had said. Chaotic. What is taking Joe Thompson's life tonight, and how is it related to the almost spent copper mine outside of town?
Well, the copper mine is not going to be of any use for anyone for a while because it collapsed today. It's a miracle that Joe Thompson was pulled out of the wreckage effectively, because we can like see in the room where he's lying on this little cot, he is wheezing as his lungs have effectively been collapsed by the rocks just all falling on top of it, crushing him, but still he lives for now.
The night phase. Andrew Harrington in Arkansas McGee, you are approaching the Red Rock Dance Hall and Cantina, which, despite the tragedy earlier today, it's still open, although the cantina has closed until they can get the smell of burnt flesh out. But the dance hall remains open. The apartments overhead where the corset is stored. Inside the dance hall, things are much the same as usual. As you're approaching, you see a male patron being violently ejected from the premises for raising his voice to one of the girls. Inside, on the main stage, a dance hall girl is performing a bawdy song about the Garden of Eden. Her dress and visible petticoat are emerald green, and her corset is decorated to look like snake scales. The number ends with her pulling an apple from a provocative place. Lola Navas is staring daggers at you two as you enter, particularly at Arkansas McGee, and she begins to make her way over. And looking right at Arkansas, she says, "You come to raise even more trouble, McGee."
It's just my style. That's just what I do.
You son of a bitch. You see that she's like rearing back to slap him.
You're a bit too loud for this kind of hangover. So take 2 steps back, ma'am.
Whap! Yeah, she fully slaps you across the face for that.
Does she?
Does she?
Do you want to try and stop that?
Yeah.
All right. Okay. It wasn't gonna have any other conditions, but okay. Yeah. Then in that case, I mean, so what are you doing then? How do you try to stop that from happening?
I think just wobble back. Like,
okay. Then in that case, I'm not gonna have it be a move. I just think that's fine. I think that she like sweeps, but you kind of like stumble back, so her hand just like crosses empty air, staggering her a little bit, drawing a few eyes, and she is visibly getting red in the face a little bit.
Ma'am, this is just I only brought in Arkansas because the rest of the committee is out of town at the current moment, dealing with a larger ghost problem. I
only brought me. I'm like the star. I'm like the most valuable team member. What are you talking about, lady? You need to bring it down. We were told that this was supposed to be on the down low, and you're screaming and slapping people.
She like jabs a finger at you. You were told to keep it quiet and on the down low. And yet every turn you've been loud, disruptive, and spreading rumors of bloodshed in the history of our establishment.
You're doing it right now, lady. That's your mouth talking, not mine.
Marshal, I want this man off my premises immediately.
Ma'am, it will just take 5 minutes. We're here to relieve the problem for you tonight.
Relieve? How? Enlighten me.
We're going to take the item in question under the Vigilance Committee control and physically remove it from the premises.
Oh, no good. You know we've tried that before, right? It always
Yes.
comes back.
Yes, but you haven't done other things. Unless you want me to spell it out in explicit detail, but I don't think you would want that.
Marshal Harrington, Arkansas McGee, despite the lines that were crossed in recent days, I do appreciate your continued dedication to this cause. One of my most treasured and beautiful dancers was brutally killed this morning. She's keeping her voice very quiet so others don't hear. So I have deferred to external judgment.
Yeah.
The matter is already being handled.
Anyways, can I arrest this lady?
She's already caused a scene, Marshal. Let's get her.
Yeah, how do you wish to proceed with that?
I think at the sort of like external matters, like there's a few people like I can think of that would be handling this, none of which I am very pleased about. So you see the marshal's face like sort of contort. Oh, I was afraid that you might have come to this. I'm going to have to arrest you for interfering with the investigations with the sheriff's department of El Paso. So like I'm literally, I think like Harrington always keeps this like a set of like handcuffs on him just in case, because like again, McGee like has been known to be a little bit riley, so like so you never know when you need to arrest someone for causing trouble. So yeah, like I'm trying to get her to like stand down and let herself be arrested very quietly, but if I have to wrestle her to the ground, I will. Equal justice for everyone.
I'm gonna say will be the night move. I think I could see an argument for presence or composure. I lean towards composure on the grounds of, since you're not trying to make a scene of this and you're just trying to like be very like calm in your presentation, even though it's getting to you. But what are you afraid of happening here?
She's gonna fight me. She's already like tried to hit Arkansas. So
oh, it's worse than that. This whole place is going to be in an uproar. You're trying to you're the already much rumored about and somewhat disliked Marshal of El Paso is making a scene in the dance hall. Oh yeah, this is going to be a whole affair. You may go ahead and roll. You don't have any disadvantage from this.
just see if I can. Okay, I
Make
just
an
lost.
argument for an item. Oh no.
Yeah. Absolutely not. I don't think God has any place here currently. Still, that's not bad. That is a 10.
10. Lola Nevas looks at you. She looks at the door. And you can see that she's angry, and I'll let you narrate how the scene resolves. I'm just doing some setup for you. You can see that she is still quite furious, but she doesn't want there to be a scene. And so she's more of like, if we're going to have a problem, let's take it out of sight. So what do you do?
I think I just place my hand on her shoulder and I'm going to lead her to the apartments for a private conversation.
And Arkansas follows. You're muted.
Making sure we're not followed by like her bouncers or something.
You know, the bouncer remains on the stairs. You guys ascend up to the apartment. And as you're approaching the door to their apartment, how do you both know that immediately something is wrong? There's a bad vibe.
Oh, it's the smell, of course.
And it's very quiet. It's like too quiet.
You approach the door and you open it. We cut to the Socorro mission. Mother Ruth and Graves gathered at dinner, enjoying some conversation with one another. The other monks, the brothers of none or two, dining around you. Set the scene. Role play. Tell me what's going on here a little bit.
Well, I think first and foremost, there is a chess game going on. Like, even if there wasn't one in the mission, Graves, weirdly enough, just sort of found one. It's there. And maybe even the brothers and sisters are like, didn't know we had that. But it's out. And if Mother Ruth is amiable, that's what we're doing. Well, might be like kind of near the end of dinner.
You sure you want to be stepping into this, Mr. Graves?
Now, what do you mean by that, Ruth?
Well, you're adding a board and some wooden markers for soldiers down on there. I was whooping you up and down the trail with using just my own brain here. So what thinks what thinks you is going to happen when you put the tools of destruction in my own hands?
Well, that's what I'm interested in. People don't beat me often.
Well, maybe you deserve a good beating or two. Maybe it's something that you've been owed with all your nonsense you've been getting into, especially of late.
Oh. And you're the one who's going to give it to me?
Oh, was that a surprise of all your nonsense, or was that a surprise of you getting beaten by and handled by a 60-year-old woman?
Oh. I would say the former. I welcome the latter.
I'm sure your mother ever took a fucking hand to you, did she? She never spoke any words upon you of how to be a good lad. Never, nary a yes, ma'am, or yeah, no, sir, out of your mouth. It's always just little riddles and tricksy doos that comes out. You just saying things like it's probably the former, but I welcome the latter. Like you're trying to put something on here. I know your tricks, Mr. Graves. Even no matter what's going on inside ye, I know what's happening inside ye.
You do?
Biblically. Sets up the board.
Brother Jacques, one of the monks, a few, at another table over, seated, is sipping from his cup, chokes a little bit on the water, it's like water sputters, coughs, begins to cough even more, begins to like struggle at his chest in actual like distress, drawing some attention. And you see that brother or Friar Navarro like looks over and stands and begins to walk over, saying, Brother Reynaldo, is something wrong? And Brother Reynaldo like doubles over and vomits up a thick stream of river water, just begins to vomit out just a thick torrent of dark soupy water. All the monks, their eyes go wide with horror as an impossible amount of water begins to stream out of his mouth, beginning to spew from his nose. Part of it leaking out of his ears now is just water pouring out of him as he stumbles. You see that he's like trying to speak through the gulping, just torrents, like, help me, and stumbles back and begins to just drown as water is pouring out of his lungs, clawing at his throat, his face is going purple. Eyes bulging. I need Mother Ruth, I'd say, particularly to make the night move in reaction to seeing this. This is less of a problem for Graves to look at, I'm sure.
No, I'm just interested to see if he dies.
Yeah, Mother Ruth, what are you? This will be plus your composure. What are you afraid of happening if you lose your nerve?
I am afraid Mother Ruth is going to choke and not do anything.
Yeah, it's worse than that. You're also chosen to drown tonight.
You fucking asshole. Okay, let's go. Amazing. Okay. Okay, plus composure.
And because you're shaken, disadvantage.
God damn it. God damn it. That was an 11 plus my composure, you asshole. You're coming for me. I just know it. God damn it. God damn it. It's a 9.
9 total. Splendid.
9 total.
Let's go back to the unseen. B. The Reverend shivers, stands, and almost without thought, quietly crosses the room to put another log on the fire. What item on the mantle catches the Reverend's attention, and what does it make the Reverend think about Joe's untimely end?
We can hear Joe wheezing as the Reverend stands. It's very quiet. The children are asleep now, and the Reverend's footsteps are slow and methodical. And as the chunk of the wood on the fire and the light flashes up a little more, we see the Reverend look up to the mantle, and he sees a few things. He sees an old tintype photograph. And when I say old, I mean it's the only one they probably have of their whole family. Someone took it outside, maybe somebody traveling through with a camera, and it's clearly of them by a river. And there's more of them than maybe we even saw of the Thompsons. This is a very large family. And the Reverend realizes there's going to be one less. And that ripple effect is going to be devastating. And he sees a children's drawing that someone has put up there. And it is everyone holding hands, and it's done in charcoal. And it's wrinkled at the edges like it's been picked up time and time again. Nobody's bothered to frame it. They can't afford a frame, but they have propped it up with like just random items. In fact, up there's like an apple and like little like a horseshoe. It's just whatever they can find that kind of props it up. And the Reverend stares at it for a long time as we hear Joe wheeze in the background.
The door to the apartment office overhead the dance hall opens, revealing the dimly lit interior. But there is a malevolence here, an anger, and you hear the sound of a struggle. Inside, the corset levitates in the air, drawing your attention to it, an aura of darkness, anger, and standing in front of it, not looking particularly phased, but definitely not entirely calm, is Lady Antonia, who is wielding implements and head tilted rather curiously. You two enter. She turns to your lot and looks at you and she says, "Oh, I wasn't expecting company. I seem to be having a bit of trouble with this one. I could use the assist."
Of course you would have trouble with this one. It crushes the chest of everyone who dares try to harm it.
She quirks an eyebrow at you. "You assume I'm levying harm against the thing. Very well, Marshal Harrington. Tell me what your solution is." When she's saying this, though, immediately the corset like pulses with like an energy from whatever she's been doing. Seems to have made things kind of worse. As a telekinetic wave erupts from it, just throwing furniture and implements around, it threatens to like push y'all back against like walls and crush bones and organs as just chairs and lamps and books begin to swirl and fly around the room. The mounting smell of sulfur, ozone, fire about to start.
Yeah.
I need you two to make the night move with sensitivity as this thing pulses outward. What are you two afraid of happening here?
I'm afraid that the room is going to catch on fire with like all of this smell of like brimstone and whatnot.
It's worse than that. You're going to burst into flames.
Oh God.
I'm afraid that it's gonna escape. It's gonna like, push us all out of here and then go somewhere else.
It's worse than that. It will go on a killing spree. So Arkansas, I'm not going to give you disadvantage from either of your conditions, and it's flat for Harrington as well.
Could I mark an item, specifically the word of God?
Yes.
Specifically, I think Andrew Harrington is reciting Psalm 40, which is a passage about being a good shepherd. taking care of its flock and taking care of it. And I'm sort of reaching out my hand to try to treat the corset as an animal and pet it.
I understand where you're going for it. I'll let you mark that for advantage. I like that. That's quite nice.
Let's go. And that's with sensitivity.
Mm-hmm.
That is a 9.
9.
What I'm going to try to do, or do you want to you want to go over
No,
all
go
that?
ahead.
So while Marshal Harrington is doing that, and did you guys say it has spirits of sacrificed animals in it? Okay, so I'm going to try to restrain it with my ghost trap, my shadowy ghost trap.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
That I got from where is he anyways?
Clarkson?
Dr. Clarkson. We should have brought Dr. Clarkson.
He's somewhere.
Anyways, okay. So I'm gonna roll with, I'm gonna mark that, and I'm just gonna try to like restrain it with this metaphysical shadow trap, ghost trap. And there's a 2, 6, 7, 8, 8. I don't have any sensitivity.
All right, good to know. Yeah, reminder that Clarkson offers advantage on rituals to quiet things, so keep that in mind.
I know that he can, but like I don't think Harrington would brought him because because again, like it's the same reason that he didn't want Lady Antonio involved, is that they'll treat it more harshly.
Indeed. In Clear Springs, in the monastery, the monks begin to drown. Mother Ruth, your complication is this. You steady yourself in the face of this distressing scene. Another monk begins to sputter up and cough water. There is a slowly growing pool of river water that is slipping under the door to the dining room, and it opens. A little slosh springing against the floor. Mother Ruth, could you describe the loved one, please?
Tomas Calvo is a strapping 6'3", like 300, near 300-pound man, built, corn-fed is what you would call him in the Midwest. Strong, like blonde hair, that is messy, shaggy, not kempt, not like the other men that you typically see that come from the region they're from. Does not have blue eyes like most of those from the Nordic Europe, but instead has a more lily pad green hue to them. Has a button nose with a cleft chin, strong jawline, couldn't grow a beard to save his life. Imagine very like Jesse Plemons, the actor Jesse Plemons, like very much like that, especially like from Fargo. Just like looks like the embodiment of like gentle giant, like just trying to help out. It's no favors for favors, just really neighborly kind of fellow. And is probably wearing the clothes that he was wearing when he died. So just a collarless striped shirt, black suspenders, black pants, black boots, and a black round hat, like a Quaker style hat, very round, like round brim and very domed top head.
Does Tomas also speak with your accent?
Yes. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
I'll try my best.
Thank you.
The river water sloshes into the room, and you see Tomas. It is utterly genuine. The eyes reflect the emotions you knew in life. The bearing is quite accurate. It is so very what's the word I'm looking for here? It's very believable that this is Tomas. But I will let you know for the meta that this is simply the town trying its best to make it seem like Tomas. So you may have that inform Mother Ruth's roleplay as you wish. This figure steps in and looks to you, Mother Ruth, with those sad but kind, loving eyes. What do you do?
Graves, I need you to find a way to get water out of this room. It's going to ruin the foundation. And I think Mother Calvo grabs her Bible and grabs the cross necklace around her and rips it off of her, like from around her neck, and wraps it tightly around her hand. And looks about to like where Antonio and all these other friars are like dealing with the man that's like drowning, literal river water coming up, and going, Antonio, you have allowed the devil's work to come into this place of God. This is no longer consecrated, and it seems like I must do it for ye. As the good Lord and Spirit says in Matthew 25:41, then he will say to those on the left, depart from me, ye cursed, into the eternal fire, prepared for the devil and all of his angels. Ye shall not, and then she
Ruth.
starts, ye shall not stand before me and say my
Ruth.
name. You speak a name that does not belong to your cursed lips, devil. Move out of this place, evil spirit, as you tempt and bring ye into your unnatural, unholy waters. I shall cast you out of these waters. And she's like wading towards Tomas and just like stepping through the water. And
Your
like,
voice is just as passionate as I remember. Just all the zeal. I hear the flame. Your faith is strong. I hear it.
Thomas takes a step forward.
I've missed you so. The pain. Oh, the horror. It lingered, but I am free of it now. Ruth.
I shall take into the
strides
words
forward
of
towards you.
Mark, the words of Mark as
His
you speak
hands
into
reach
my
out
ears.
to touch you.
If my ears cause me to
His
sin, I
hands
will
touch your
tear
shoulders.
them away.
They
It is better for
squeeze
you
gently.
to enter the kingdom of God with one eye than with it.
He leans
If those with
forward.
eyes, I will press the crucifix into his forehead, and I will say, if your eyes and hands cause you to sin, then you shall rip them away, tear them away, and cast them into the lake of fire as well, so they have no place into the kingdom of heaven. You have no place into the kingdom of heaven. You will cast away from this place. You will depart from these people, and you will let go.
I assume we're triggering.
Fire and brimstone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Before you do that, before you roll, I will say that like he had grabbed you, you pressed it like the cross against him, and still a few more words make it out of Tomas's lips before you finish it, you would hear. And I realize it's very hard for me to find something that's not Irish. It's kind of
You're doing great. You're doing fine.
He just says, death had abandoned us, so we came back from death.
And looks directly over your shoulder at Graves. And go ahead and roll fire and brimstone.
Yeah, that was for you, buddy.
With disadvantage.
Yeah, because I'm shaking.
Yikes!
Actually, I was gonna say this one's because you're most beloved.
Oh, because I'm most beloved. Oh, okay. Goddamn. All right.
And this is your most beloved in front of you, after all.
I'm going to mark a bride's veil.
Oh fuck.
Just as that, thinking of that woman in white and everything, what I took from it and everything like that, and like how she ended up, Mother Ruth does not want to end up like this, some wallowing woman on the side of the road thinking about somebody from before. to nullify that, make it a flat roll. Oh, buddy. Sensitivity. Okay. That is an 8. 6 plus 2. 8.
They stand down, but they are resentful. You see that as the cross presses against Tomas's face, there's a wince. And that is the break in the facade for you to see that this is not Tomas, this is the town. This is the force of this grieving place trying to draw you into its folds and embrace you in its watery depths. And the form breaks for a moment. It ripples like water. There's still water sloshing into the place slightly. By now, brother Reynard has fallen dead. The water still burbling out of his mouth like a spring. His face, a mess of mottled purple, bloated from the inside out. But he begins to shift slightly and stand as the color returns to his face. And the loved one just points over at the rising brother Reynard, and then points at Graves, looking at you, resentful, and just saying, "You reject love. We return, for we had been abandoned," and looks over directly at Graves. "Hear us now. Death. Our souls you did not claim. Our souls ye shall not have. We return. We return from nothing, and we take for all are loved in our flow." And he melts back into river water, splashing to the ground as the risen brother Reynard looks up, a bearing that is clearly not his, now possessed by a new inhabitant of the town, looks around. A couple more of the brothers had also drowned in the background, the water sloshing in. During all of this, Graves, what have you been doing?
I want to try something
I'm listening.
that I've been curious about. The first brother that rises. Of course, I've been listening to Tomas, or what is pretending to be Tomas, probably hyper aware that this is not the man that it looks like, because I know where he's supposed to be. But I walk over to the nearest brother that's risen, and I take off my glove and I put my hand on his cheek just to see what happens, to see if I can banish the spirit inside of it back to where it's supposed to be.
Mm-hmm. And I'm going to say that as you do, there is a flare of red that only you can see, a supernatural aura that surrounds him, a red shimmering field. And in the flicker of that vision, for a moment, you are not standing in the Socorro mission. You are standing in a flat wasteland expanse of desert under a bloated, bleeding red moon, standing in front of this spectral, decayed form of the brother. And behind him, you see the horror of the hanged man stretch a spectral noose long and taut, throw it over his neck, and yank it back. He survives. And so the preservation of the ghosts of Clear Springs counts as a mastermind clue.
You motherfucker.
Added to the list. Edward Reynolds has something to do with keeping these bodies, these spirits, from a second death.
This does not surprise Graves. He has a personal beef with Edward Reynolds at this point for evading him. And now this. Now this. Gonna
Meanwhile,
fight him.
back in the Red Rock, Marshal Harrington, you had used the word of God, speaking the psalm, and are approaching the corset. You rolled a 9. Arkansas, you were grabbing the corset as well. Is that what you said?
Ghost
No,
trap.
trying to
Oh,
use the
ghost trap. Ghost
to
trap, that's
like,
right.
to
Gotcha.
restrain it.
Here's what I'll say, because you guys both got complications. Let me think about how I want to do this.
I was
So
thinking about
Marshall-
spinning a mask, but let's
Yeah,
see
I
what
want to.
complications.
I want to make sure these two complications are pretty distinct. Marshal Harrington, here's your complication, because you got a 9. Obviously, I'm not going to give you anything too hard. I think what happens is just going to be that your as you approach and are speaking this malevolent, angry aura that is pulsating off of this corset, it's ebbing, it's giving away slightly as you're approaching. Your attempt is working. However, it, much like a scared and particularly feral animal, lashes out. So your fingers brush up against it and it exerts a force. You feel bones like shatter in your hand. You can take broken hand as a condition, but otherwise you're able to push through the pain and continue, and it begins to dim, it begins to calm. But that lash out, it telekinetically just shattered the bones in your hand. Arkansas, I want you to tell me first what using this trap looks like what form this takes as you're applying it to the situation.
It I wrote down shadow, I think shadowy or something. So it doesn't even look like it's not even like a real thing. It's just some shadows that look like bars in a cage. And when he pulls it out, there's nothing in his hands except for, you can see like some gray shadowy shapes, and he just kind of like sorts it out and then like flings it almost like a net, and then it like tightens up around it, and then it's probably got some kind of tether, a shadowy tether that he's holding on to.
Splendid. I realized, didn't I think I just realized, because I think wasn't the order I was doing this in was El Paso and then Clear Springs? Oh, gotcha. Okay, so I just dipped into my second part of the phase here without even thinking. I was just lost in the narrative. Then what I'm going to do is just making a quick course correction for all to be aware of. After this, we're going to go back to the unseen, and then after Wes is unseen, Daniel's unseen will close the night phase. There won't be one after that, so just compensate for like the imbalance. I got lost in there.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's all good.
Yeah. That's just the narrative. The narrative. So here's what happens with Arkansas. And this doesn't count. Yeah, this doesn't use violence. So okay. Because I'm keeping your condition in mind. Here's what I'm going to say is your complication. And I will let you have narrative authority over this, because it involves a pretty distinct thing about your character that we have talked about in the group. Something about what happens here, whether it is psychic backlash or some side effect, everyone but you, well, maybe not Lola Navas, but definitely Marshal Harrington, maybe Lady Antonia, will notice something about you that reveals that you are in fact dead. That will be your complication.
I think I'll put on a mask then.
Okay.
I'll mark a mask.
Okay, go for it. What mask do you mark?
We'll figure it out.
Okay, splendid. Then in that case, let's go back to the unseen now. Resume from there. Wes, Joe's breathing is slower now, more labored. Reverend Mathis continues to pray softly, hoping his prayers bring some comfort to the dying man. What event in Reverend Mathis's past means he never leaves a parishioner to pass away alone?
You hear the in the background just fill up the room. The Reverend is slowly pairing and praying. Goes, worry not. Afterwards, he goes, worry not, Joe. You may be in some pain now, and you may feel like everything's against you. But don't worry. Record my misery, list my tears on your scroll. Are they not in your record? They are. The Lord knows. The Lord knows what you've gone through. He knows what you've dealt with. He knows what your heart is capable. He's the one that has given you these hands that have worked and provided for family. He's the one that gave you these eyes so that you may see the wonders of his world. I think of my own in these times. We see Reverend Mathis look up out the window, and he thinks of a time as he hears Joe's labored breathing echo in his head, own labored breathing from his own life. His mother drowning, gurgling in her own spit and bile as she lay up sick in Boston. Him promising, always making promises to her that he was going to make it to see her, to help her out, to spend time, that his sister would not have to take care of her all by her lonesome. But you know, the work of a reverend is never done. There was always people to go check on, going door to door. There was always other families to pray over, families that were grieving and lost. There was always speaking in these big, hollowed out churches that beautifully crafted. But in the moments, the quiet moments when he was leading for prayer, he could just hear her own labored breathing in his head, just echoing, just the that gargle. And he could never get it out. But he takes Joe's hand and he finds comfort in it because he understands that this isn't just for Joe, this is for him just as much. These moments of spending alone with someone in their final moments is just as therapeutic and necessary for him as it is for them. Because it will never amount to what he lost and what he missed out on. But maybe it might in the end. It might build up. He just nods. And he says, that's okay. You take all the time you need.
Mother Ruth and Graves. After the events at the Socorro mission, the monks, pale with fear, muttering prayers, bilging water, just not bilging. What do you call it when you bailing water, bailing water. What are you two doing after the silence has come?
Are the dead gone?
Yes.
Have they left?
They went out to the river.
Motherfuckers. Okay. Graves is helping then to bail the water, just like Ruth asked. Because clearly, there are bigger problems here.
Mother Ruth is at first sits down and is just watching the rest of them work. And then shakes her head and goes, no, 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 not like that, like this. And goes to one of the other younger brothers that's helping bail water out and goes, you're not, what you're doing here, lad, is you're just throwing it from one place to another, and it's just going to recede back. What you need to do is you need to be willful with your pouring. It's just going to go everywhere. So know where you're pouring, the direction of bailing water. You can't just be flailing about, the boat's going to sink. Here, like this. And starts like rolls up her sleeves and starts helping and everything like that. Like it's community, baby. We all gotta make sure that we help out and make sure that things get better. And she goes, that's it. Right there. Perfect. Precise. You'd think it might just be a bucket of water, but no, it's a bucket. There's a motion to it.
Mark a box for being charitable.
Hey!
You're one away. You are one away.
I get to be awful again. It's been too
Soon.
long.
Soon.
Soon.
Anything else from you two on this scene?
I mean, I think like after bailing all this out, Graves is gonna go out
Mhm.
to the fucking but like doesn't want to leave these people high and dry, but like the opposite of it, wet.
But Mother Ruth is going to like see that within you and is going to take your gloved hand and gesture like once we're done and everything. It's like sit, rest, and sets up the chessboard and is going to pull out the pawn at C2 and move it 2 forward and goes, think about it. Don't just rush into it.
What is there to think about?
Exactly what the nature of what you did is causing this is one thing. And also what things I might have seen appear while doing my work. They seemed
know
more
what you
interested in you than me.
They did seem rather interested in you. But I understand. This is because of my inaction, Ruth. This is not your fault. You're just... Everyone here is caught up.
Okay, so what are you going to do to fix it?
And that's what I need to find out.
Okay, and you need to find it out right now? Go running off into the night with nary a clue in your head of what might be going on?
And what else would I do?
Rest, recuperate. You've been walking all up and down this town all day.
I don't need rest, Ruth. I'm not something that rests.
You might not need rest, but the person that you're inhabiting probably does.
I suppose that's fair.
I don't know what you are. I don't know what you're about or anything, but I know for a fact that that lad that you're dwelling inside had no capabilities of putting a hand on somebody and red light erupting and things of that nature. Just a poor sat bad at cards. Better at digging trenches, if you know what I mean.
Oh, I do. We're
Well,
we're the same in that regard.
well, you may not need rest, whatever you are. Foolish, foul creature. But that does. And I'm not going to be needing you breaking down on me when I need you most, okay? I need you to be driving all the carts and everything like that, hanging in the oxen and need be. Picking up all the bales and cargo that we might bring back.
What cargo do you suppose we're going to bring back Mother Ruth?
Maybe these brothers back to El Paso. Maybe clear. This might be the end of this town. We don't know. So best be prepared.
Oh, it is the end of this town. It should have ended a long time ago.
Oh, it should have been a long time. Listen to you.
What do you mean?
You just sound all blustery and important like that, and it's just funny coming out of your mouth, Mr. Graves. If you be in there.
He
See you
is.
now. Oh, good. Well, tell him that he owes some money to some folks.
Well, then we're gonna cut away from there. The clack of a chess piece in motion. Arkansas, you bumped up your result with a mass, so you have narrative control of what happened, and by extension, chaotic. I would like you two to just resolve the corset and tell us what happens here, and wrap up your night.
I'll defer to Andrew Harrington. Like he hands you the tether and
Mhm.
and says, yeah, just keep petting it there, Marshall. I think you got it. And then he's gonna leave. I'll do that scene after you talk about the corset.
I think as you leave and like Andrew is petting it, just a little bit of foreshadowing about what move I'm going to take next. Even though Andrew's hand is broken, he's not particularly bothered by it. It's contorted in a little bit in odd angles because the bones are not longer in place, but still he could just will it to make it move as he wants it, and continues petting on it, not looking as though he's in pain at all, not giving a sign of what he feels to this corset, because it's all right. It's okay to be frightened. These people, they don't understand like I understand. It's always strange when you're the odd one out, isn't it? Like for some reason, I imagine like the ghost trap is a legit box. So like, laying like I think like imagine like sort of laying it down like you would like lay down like a sort of an injured animal into it and sort of make it a little bit cozy, whatnot. I think I pick it up under my arm. And I think I just give like a very dirty look to Lady Antonia before I just leave as well.
So we see Arkansas, and he's not he's saddling a horse, and he does not look he's not intoxicated. He wasn't hungover. He doesn't look hungover. He doesn't look hungover. He looks kind of determined. And on the son of Titus, the blind stallion of Blackheart Vermilion. Blackheart Vermilion is setting up on it, and he says, he looks up. He's like pulling the belts tight on this horse as he's saddling it up, and he says to her, "Oh, where before you came here looking for that coward Jim McKinley, where we all brought him to justice, where was you at?"
I was mostly getting around. I mean, had to disembark off a train. That was the whole thing.
You ever go back to Kansas City?
No, Arkansas, I have not gone back there yet. I can't precisely leave the confines of this territory.
I think I know a way.
To Kansas. Why would we want to go back to Kansas City, McGee?
Because he's getting on his horse, and he says, because Kansas City, that was a pretty little town. That was some good times there.
'Twas indeed, but we got somewhere else to be these days. But I guess I can entertain you. I'm curious.
I know a way. I know a way to get to Kansas City. I'll show you.
She just nods.
and we see him like turn and ride down the back alleys of El Paso, and the camera's like, is on this side of the buildings, and so we see him go. But the more the closer they get out of Kansas City, they just start to fade away until you can't. It's just kind of a breeze. So I did sober up. I did sober up Arkansas McGee, and when if he's totally sober, I got to mark the final mask of what's it called? The last mask.
The blood-soaked portal.
Blood-soaked portal. Yep. If he ever gets sober, he has to mark the blood-soaked portal.
I'm willing to override the scene attached to that mask because I just like the narrative of that very much. The dissipation of Arkansas McGee found his peace. Daniel, conclude the unseen because you have the last prompt. So the silence wakes the Reverend from his near doze. The bed is quiet. Joe is gone. Reverend Mathis was there for Joe until the end. Now it's time to be there for the rest of his family. Briefly describe the funeral plans Mrs. Thompson has already put together for Joe.
We see several people, the kids, and they're up on a ridge somewheres, and there's a small circle of rocks that marks an old ventilation shaft to the collapsed mine. And so his body has been wrapped in this old black and white checkered quilt, and he's got a pickaxe kind of tied to it where his chest is, and they've got him on this board. Several, like 4 guys, maybe one of them is one of his sons or his brother or something. And as the Reverend is like, saying a prayer, they kind of just like slide him down into the ventilation shaft, and then they seal it. They roll a big boulder over and they seal up the ventilation shaft to the copper mine.
Let's go to the dawn phase. We're going to hand out the usual dawn phase stuff and we'll take a break. So the corset is now resolved. Good job, everyone. Let's talk about rewards for the corset. There's a few. 2 of them are mementos. One of them is the corset, since you brought it under control. Another one is that Lady Antonia becomes a recurring side character. Someone better take that. We wrote a whole sheet for her.
I'll if nobody else wants her, I'll take her
Hell yeah.
for my next character.
Yeah, take that, chaotic. A beautiful navy blue gown and black stockings that can be added to your personal quarters, or a collection of powders and rouges.
I think Andrew should take the corsets.
Makes sense.
You do already have it.
Mm-hmm. So I add it to my personal quarters.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
When worn, it shapes your body into its ideal form.
Weird. Okay.
What does that mean?
I don't know what that means for interpreting my body. Look,
That's what I was about to ask.
Its body's ideal form or the ideal form for the corset?
That's a good question.
Guess we'll find out.
That's a good question.
Westby.
Lady Antonia has already been taken, and you took the corset, Harrington, so that leaves the blue stockings and the collection of makeup, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a beautiful navy blue gown and black stockings, or a collection of powders and rouges.
I'll take the gown and stockings.
Hell yeah, beautiful navy blue gown and black stockings.
I'll take I'm sure I'll figure out what to do with those.
There's also the 2 mementos if you didn't want the powders and rouges.
You know what? I'm gonna try to see if I can
yeah.
use that though.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
May add a collection of powders and rouges to your personal quarters. All right, let's quickly go through Dawn questions. Mother Ruth, answered a question. We resolved a threat. Did you experience neck of the night? Yes, you did. I caught one, but if you wanted to call it out there.
Yeah, the drowning bile and also the drowning brother, that kind of thing.
Did you turn the other cheek?
No, I would say I went head first into the town and everything like that.
Did you decide to not give a damn, turning your back on righteousness? No, quite the opposite.
Quite the opposite. Yeah.
All right,
One
take-
might make an argument for not trying to exercise whatever is in Graves immediately, but I think just those three are
Thank you.
perfectly fine.
Yeah, take 3. Graves, did you experience an echo in the night?
I tried to paint one for the other hunters, actually, with the apple.
That would be an echo. for
That
you.
counted as an echo.
Okay, radical.
Mhm.
So you did get the echo. Did you punish a wayward soul by sending it back to the spirit realm? No, you tried, but it didn't work.
I tried, and I was thwarted.
Did you take the time to puzzle over the human condition?
I don't know if I did this time.
Right. You also take 3. Marshal Harrington, did you experience an echo in the night?
Kind of. When my hand got crushed, it was very similar to Joe getting crushed.
I'll take it. Did you deliver a cold monologue about the cruelty of justice?
No, I just gave people a bunch of looks about like what they were doing rather than monologuing.
Did you abuse your badge? Yes, you did.
Yes, I arrested the lady.
Take 4. And Arkansas, you're dead, so it doesn't matter. All right. Splendid. Let's take a 5-minute break. Do we have any playbook moves that kick off during the dawn phase? All right. Then let's hear what advances people took.
I went ahead. I was scratching my head because I was like, do I want to write a custom move for Ruth? I was really thinking about unmarking everything in my personal quarters because like I am down to like a bunch of stuff being used and I have 2 items. But I was like, no, I really like the idea. I think that we've gotten to a place where like Ruth has kind of I never took this move at the start because I felt like Ruth was not at a place to take this move yet. But I'm taking Gethsemane. Gethsemane. The effectual fervent prayer of the righteous and availeth much. When you go to a place of solitude and express regret for your morally reprehensible deeds out loud, roll with presence. On a hit, you may clear a relevant condition. On a 10+, no one overhears you. On a miss, someone or something dangerous is listening. So if there's ever a moment where I don't feel like laying with sinners for my vice, I can just go to a quiet place and confess and clear a condition. But there's always the risk that it might be used against me, which I think is pretty nifty and cool. And I think that's I think you're a keeper that can use that effectively. And I just love that move.
Hell yeah.
Andrew picked up the move True Grit. Physical conditions have no effect against me now, besides just taking up a condition slot. I also increased my vitality by 1 as per the move, so getting some good stuff there.
Splendid.
Alex, did you see the custom move that I sent you in the DMs?
I did.
Thoughts, concerns?
I think there are a couple of tweaks we can make, but the idea as it stands, so you can talk about the basics of it.
It was like because like I feel like it needs some tweaks because I did it in one shot.
Yeah, I got some tweaks in mind, but like conceptually, yes, please, by all means,
Hell
you
yeah.
can take it.
All right, I'm taking a custom move that it is currently called Hello Sibling. And that's all I'll say. I think you all know what that means.
Splendid. Before we enter the day
Are
phase,
you calling your family of gay horseback riders? You It's just Netflix's Sandman all over again. It's just
Yeah, no, it's real. It's getting real endless.
It's getting real endless. It's getting real endless in here. There's gonna be a
Yeah.
lot of leather in here, isn't there?
Yeah.
I'll
Oh
pray for
yeah,
you,
I just wanted to give
Narr.
Alex an opportunity to do more voices.
I'm praying for
Yeah.
all of you.
Yeah. Before we do anything else, I am considering Mother Ruth and Graves' end of the night phase as a vulnerable move, so you may both clear a condition from that.
Wow.
Yeah, I normally don't allow that, but I feel like the scene was well structured around that, so I break protocol every so often.
Thank
Who's
you.
clearing what?
I closed shaken. I think that was a pretty good, like, Mother Ruth was like, oh, fuck.
Mhm.
I still got it. I mean, I didn't keep people from dying, but
Mhm.
I helped stop it. So, pretty big shaken.
Which one do you guys think is more appropriate to clear? Because they both were invoked. The hanged man knows and you left the dead alone. They were both very present last night. And so I'm what do you guys think is more appropriate to clear?
I would say the hanged man knows, because now you know more of the hanged man, so y'all
Yeah,
are
me too.
kind of like
Yeah.
on equal ground now.
like
It's
that a
not
lot.
there's not like a
Yeah.
leg up. Like
No.
I
y'all are
like
both
that.
aware of each other. It's very like I saw you from across the bar and I fucking hated your vibe. I thought it was rancid, so I decided to throw you out myself.
Yeah, so now you won't be at a disadvantage when dealing with him.
Yay. Okay, yes, that is clear. Good call. This is why I asked the group. I knew you guys would have smart ideas.
Splendid. And I'm going to tip the scales a little bit and just say that because of all the revelations that were happening anyway, I'm just going to say that you'll get a clue. Background questions were already kind of broached in the subject of just like of discussing what was already levied. So I feel like just to keep the balance, B, you can have stumbled on a clue from that. So I'll let you reflect on that. We're going to move into the day phase. I'm going to introduce our new threat. And I think we will end the session early there and start with the day phase when we play next. Also gives Daniel some time for us to figure out when Daniel's going to be able to jump back in and with his new character, and we'll figure things out from there. Our next threat is the Ghost Riders of Sawtooth Ridge. A year ago, 3 Texas Rangers, Captain Carl Vanderhorn, Thomas Lubbock, and Rip Ford, were found dead in nearby Whispering Springs Canyon, their bodies riddled with bullet holes. They had been assisting Fort Bliss by scouting for Apache. A 4th ranger in their group, Jimmy Pike, was never found. A week ago, miners from the El Paso Tin Smelting and Mining Co. went to Fort Bliss and reported encountering the dead Rangers near North Mount Franklin. They claimed the Rangers were riding horses and looked as they did when they were alive, except for being riddled with bullet holes, oozing green vapors. The Rangers asked to be pointed in the direction of El Paso, where they said they expected to find the 4th Ranger, Jimmy Pike, very much alive. The miners showed them the way and then went straight to Fort Bliss once the ghostly men had ridden off. The story has reached the ears of the Vigilance Committee, and indeed, some locals have seen a trio of horsemen camped on the outskirts of town near the Shields homestead. I have a question for... So this is Graves. A consistent detail in these stories about the Rangers' appearance or equipment suggests they intend to kill Jimmy Pike if they find him. What is it?
I think that there have been sounds of target practice every time like somebody sees them, and then later there's shots and there's always bullet holes left in a nearby building.
A trio of Ghost Riders stalking the streets of El Paso is bad news and must be dealt with. If Jimmy Pike did wrong by these Rangers, you have an obligation to help them get their justice. Even the dead have natural rights during the Wounded Knight. If their claim on his life is unjust, then you have an obligation to defend him. In either case, if Jimmy is in El Paso, he doesn't want to be found. He can hide from the Ghost Riders as long as he needs to. They're easily confused, but he'll flee if he thinks the committee is trying to flush him out. You need to determine the Ghost Riders' motives before you go looking for him. So the first question available on the Ghost Riders of Sawtooth Ridge is, why do the Ghost Riders want Jimmy Pike dead? Complexity 4. And with that, we will end our session and come back to this later. Let's go to Stars and Wishes, everyone.
I've got some. I saw B was about to fire some off.
Oh, please go.
For you, B, big star for wanting to do a vulnerable scene in a night phase and then pulling it off. Also a big star for your reaction when Alex said death has abandoned us. And your reaction was priceless. Big star for the death touch to send him back. And I like the line from Graves. Clearly we have bigger problems here. For chaotic, star for first, to give Andrew credit. At first you tried to placate Lola, and when that didn't work, you arrested her. So big star there. And star for like trying to pet the corset and then treating it gingerly like it was an injured animal. And then your broken hand was just creepy as hell. Like I put in the chat that Andrew has evolved, and he really has. Wes Trixie Doos. And I like Jesse Plemons as Tomas, and I liked your calling out Graves. The person that you're inhabiting needs rest, even if you don't. That was good. That was a good. That was a really good scene. Alex, big star for the corset. Just like we're doing our own things, right? The corset's doing its own things. It's killing people. Lola's enlisting the aid of other people while we're doing this. Yeah, you kept the corset marching on. Big star for that. And animating the corset. That was really good. That was creepy as creepy as probably Andrew's broken hand. But still, it was a very cool scene. Ruth was good with Jesse Plemons / Tomas. That was really good. And bringing in the hangman. It's like Graves has most beloved, but just for the hangman. Those are mine wishes. Yeah, we'll see what we still want to get back into, depending on my schedule. I hope it works out.
I also hope it works out. I have to first credit Wes for the idea of doing a vulnerable move during the night phase. I believe it was their idea, and yes, and it was fucking bananas, and I'm very glad it was an idea you had. Mother Ruth's whole steez, just I love her. That whole scene, like Daniel said, with Tomas and Ruth, was just like so cinematic. How you two were like interrupting each other at the perfect level. It was like so intense. Like you just kept getting. It was so cool. It was so cool. Oh my gosh, and just. And I did love getting to have a scene with Ruth that was like extended. I like role playing with you, Wes. You're an absolute delight to have as a scene partner, and the dynamic is very fun. And you always keep me on my toes. Like you're just absolutely delightful, and I really loved your reactions to everything. And like a little thing, but like you and going and like helping one of the younger monks to like bail water correctly is it's like that's a small thing, and it's a very vivid world building thing, and I really appreciate it as a player when you do that. I really, really, really love it. Arkansas fucking McGee, speaking of vivid world building, going to Kansas City, that was like, Daniel, your characters, when they like shuffle off this mortal coil, it is always so beautiful. It is always so cool. It's just like the most satisfying ending you could possibly have. And I love Arkansas. I wanted Arkansas to stick around, but also this felt like the most satisfying ending for him. You paced it perfectly. It felt very believable. It felt very real. It felt very heartfelt. And the last thing he did was like almost get into a fight with Lola, like, and then save everyone from the corset with Harrington. Like, that feels very right to have done for the last thing. And I really love Kansas City being a weird euphemism for like the other side, and the whole visual of them just sort of like fading off into smoke. That was gorgeous. Stars to both you and Alex for that scene. Alex, you were like on it with these like fucking tragic characters today, like Tomas, Blackheart Vermilion. Like it was intense. You were like really just like pedal to the metal this week, and I really, really love it. Like I like when you don't pull the punches, you know? And I'm absolutely enamored with the way that how personal you make the threats for all of the hunters. It's really cool. I really, really, really like it. I really like that you let us do our insane bullshit, but also we're still like, there's an emotional weight to it. And also, and Lady Antonia, she's here. She's gonna hang out. I love her so much. I'm very excited that she was just there and now she's just there. And she's here now, going to bother Harrington for the rest of time immemorial, probably, considering whatever the fuck Harrington is can't die. Mr. Andrew Harrington, what is wrong with you? I love Harrington. I love how he is like, I mean, like Dana said, he's like evolving. He's gotten progressively weirder. And something that really stuck out to me is there was like a speech you gave, Chaotic, that it almost sounds like a villain speech. Like it was like this close to being a bad, like if this was really a Western, he would be the bad guy. Like, and that is so delicious to me as a fellow player. I'm like, ooh, because like I think he's on our side. He's on everyone's side that's here, generally speaking, because we're all a part of the committee. But if like push came to shove, I don't think he's a good guy. And like he's got this like he like does all this lawman shit and it's like, I'm the marshal, I'm gonna like protect the town, and then gives a fucking villain speech to I think it was Lady Antonia, and it's really cool to see the marshal played like that. I really like him as a not just like a less than moral person, but also not really human and not real like way beyond like just sort of an immoral lawman. So I'm very interested to see where all this goes. My wish, I want to see what Daniel does next. I'm very excited to see what sort of playbook you pick if you have time for us, if you have time to come back to El Paso, and I hope you do, because I'm very excited to see what you play next. And yeah, I'm excited to see more of Lady Antonia. Gimme.
I'll be quick. This was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed the scenes in Clear Springs, in particular, the kind of like exercising speech from Mother Ruth, that whole scene. Very rarely do I get to enjoy in overlapping conversation in role play and in some scenes, and that was a strong moment. But like in general, that whole the way that entire Ruth played that entire thing was so fucking cinematic. Really enjoyed the conversation between her and Graves at the end there as well, with the conversation about you don't need rest, but Bartholomew does. That was great. Yeah, beautiful resolution to Arkansas. I saw it coming, and I figured that was going to be the route, since Daniel had mentioned maybe wanting to put a lid on Arkansas. And I thought that was great. I thought that was a really nice, beautiful closure. And I'm really intrigued by this stoking rivalry between Antonia and the Marshal, especially because it's more outright hostile on Harrington's end. So I'm excited to see that come into play, because Lady Antonia has been relatively nothing but cordial. So I'm very excited to see this play out. I thought I really enjoyed getting to see how he approached the Corset. The resolution, I should say, very fucked up though. And again, like I was actually going to have to agree with B, is that like there is this kind of sense of like Harrington might be the bad guy of the story. At times it kind of gets that it gets there. You're just like, he is like one bad day truly away from becoming the bad guy. Like it's really interesting, because all that really separates him from necessarily not being the villain is the fact that he's not on the Reynolds' side. So it is there's a reason why the masterminds aren't called the antagonists or the villains. They are simply the ones behind the plot, and that doesn't mean they're necessarily the worst people present. And I do love that though. So that was great. Yeah, I'm just looking forward to seeing what plays out next, because we're close to the new layer, and whatever Daniel's new character is, he's talked a little bit about it. I'm excited because I think a new dynamic is going to be a lot of fun in the group.
Definitely I gotta give a star for like a lot of the choices, like the session. A lot of it has already been said, but like one thing that hasn't been said is a star for Alex's Dutch accent. Just my God, like it's just like, oh, like he said like, oh, it's not that good. But like me as a person who isn't a voice actor at all, like it is very well done. Like I was just like, oh my God, I'm just like chills. That is the voice of Thomas. I'm just, it's wonderful. Daniel, God, like you know how to really balance between keeping true to your character as well as to like get stuff done. Of just like, oh yeah, I was not here for any of like the theorizing, so like probably Arkansas really does not know what's going on, but he does have a ghost trap, and they do work on ghosts, so let's pull it out. But yeah, I've been Mother Ruth Calvo of just slowly on the path of getting rid of Pius. I'm so excited when she gets rid of that condition because we need our horny lady back. As well as just like sort of like confirming with Graves, like, yeah, I know what you are. Kind of, you're just evil. You're just an evil little guy, and it's just like. It's like, yeah, that's kind of true, but also kind of not. It's complicated. It's death, but we're not really sure on that regard. He's just a weird little freak, and we love him for it. But yeah, like, but Andrew Harrington as the bad guy, yeah, I've established that pretty early on with like my second Mask of the Past, like he was in charge of like a criminal organization. Like what do you think? He was nice? No, he's not nice. He's bad. Like there's worse people than him, but like he's not good by any stretch of the imagination. Exactly.
Okay, I'll run through it. B, Narr. I very much dig Graves' actions and interactions and how you have Graves moving alongside the world and everything. It's very cool to see. I'm a big fan of that kind of shit. I hope that we get to see more of the family, you know. I hope we get to see more of the homies, and I hope that we have good long conversations with them, that kind of thing, you know. Very creepy stuff. I love role playing with you, Daniel. Heading off to Kansas City, poignant. I love it. It affected me. I'm a big fan of it. I know that Arkansas would kill the merch sales for the TV show for the Ghost of El Paso. Arkansas and all the lunch boxes and everything. Kids would be dressing up like Arkansas for Halloween. It'd be fantastic. And what a way to go out. And I think it's really cool seeing this game and like these systems really allow you to kind of have that kind of narrative control over your character, and you kind of help kind of control the natural progression. And a lot of times people see losing a character as a negative thing, but I think this is like one of those examples of it being an overly positive thing. So thank you for contributing to that. Andrew Harrington, Dirty Cop, very much reminds me of James McAvoy's character in Filth. Like just like this very just like skis ball, but like trying to do the right thing, but like it's the right thing for you. That guy, like, it's like, what's the thing that makes my life easier, and that's what I'm going to do. Hearing your glee of recognition that you get the assemblage back, equal parts made me happy and terrified me. Because I'm just like, what you've been using the great power comes great responsibility is for you. It's for you, Andrew Harrington. But no, great. I also loved your unseen prompt. It was just like very chilling. I've got coal miners in my family, and so like, you just like hearing those. I'm just like, yeah, it's a terrifying fucking thing, and you really kind of really emulated that perfectly. Alex, great scene with Tomas. It was just chilling, chilling. And just like, uh I too am always like, I always fear arguments at running online games, like in character arguments, because I'm just like, oh, Zoom's gonna make it sound so bad. But like, I think you could really see both of our background in theater where we were really allowing each other like volume control and like really like kind of paying attention. You could tell people we were paying attention to what each other was saying, so we could find a natural progression where we could drop an overlap where it wouldn't be too dissonant, but it would be just dissonant enough to be effective. And that's just really cool stuff. I mean, come on, who doesn't love that? My wish is Geez, I don't know. I can't wait. I hope that we get Daniel back soon. I love playing games with you, Daniel, and so you being gone is gonna be rough. I hope we can figure out something to do that like really scratches the itch of having this group and having to get past that. I can't wait to meet your greenhorn. Um, and yeah, I hope I've got 3 masks left, so I feel like Mother Ruth is on your 6, Arkansas. Mother Ruth, she ain't long for this world either, but you know, damn, we'll make it effective. We'll see what happens with it, huh?
Do
I've got a
not
couple of character ideas that I think it's the same character, but which direction I go with it is very much depending on how I'm feeling and kind of how Daniel's playbook character is going to come in to play. I'm very much like however that character is, I'm going to be like, okay, let me find a different kind of like hole to fit. So yeah.
don't leave Graves and Harrington alone. This is not the fucking duo that can. It will. Everything will collapse.
I wouldn't leave those cocksuckers without somebody to keep them in line. Don't worry.
Hell yeah. Any other stars or wishes? Then I will see y'all next time. Bye.
Later days.